A couple days ago, we got the release of the new Minecraft 26.1 drop, otherwise known as the Tiny Takeover. Or as I like to call it, the wholesome Reddit Chungus update.
Approved!
Yeah, I'm sorry to start this video out by immediately complaining, but this is by far the weakest game drop we've gotten so far. The main focus for this update was changing the models and textures for all of the game's baby mobs. Besides that though, there was practically nothing of value added to this update. But that's okay, look at the heckin' doggos! I just don't interact with baby mobs pretty much at all, and while I know every drop isn't going to appeal to me, I feel like there still could have been a little bit more done here. Spring to Life, for example, isn't my favorite drop, but at least it gave us a few pretty helpful building blocks. Baby mobs in comparison are not a big aspect of the game at all. At most, I pretty much just see them when I'm breeding animals. I genuinely don't see this update changing how I play the game very much, which is not the case for every other drop they've done. Now that's not to say that the new baby mobs are ugly. Well, at least not all of them. I just don't think this update is all that interesting for the overall game. But there were a few, emphasis on the few, features outside of just the babies. So today, I'm going to be ranking every feature added in the 26.1 drop. Okay, before half of you get confused, YouTube lets creators test multiple titles and thumbnails at the same time to see which does the best. So half of you will get my standard 26.1 drop thumbnail, whereas the other half will get the thumbnail about ranking every baby mob in Minecraft. There wasn't enough content to justify making this two separate videos, so here's how this is going to work. I'll be going down the 26.1 feature ranking list as normal, and when we reach the entry containing the baby mobs, we'll break off into the baby ranking before returning to the main video. If you literally only care about ranking babies, I'll include a chapter for that section so you can skip right to it. Just know that we will be making fun of you for being a Redditor, and you'll be missing out on some good content. You'll never find out about this update's shocking polar bear change. Anyway, as always, I'll be ranking these features based on how much I like them for Java survival mode. That means features that are creative mode exclusive won't be included in this list. So with that said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. You know, on top of the additions in this update being lackluster, this is our first drop in a while to have a change that I think is honestly negative for the game. In fact, it's actually got several, really not helping my opinion on this update. Oh, but look at the cute baby Strider! Kicking us off, we actually have a feature that was straight up removed from the game. 12, they killed the baby camel husk. Yeah, I guess they just didn't want to bother making a new baby variant for this guy, so they completely removed the ability to have baby camel husks at all. If you had one in your world, they would just automatically be turned into an adult after the update. Now granted, I don't think you can actually get baby camel husks in survival, but it's still pretty lame to just remove the ability to spawn in this guy with commands. Wait, I said this video is survival mode only. Wait guys, look! It's baby spooky camel drop! He's gone now. Baby spooky camel drop is lost media. Now obviously this isn't like a devastating removal, I doubt 99% of the player base will even care, but removing a feature for no real reason kind of has to be last place by default. 11. Wandering Trader name tag change. Spoilers for a future entry. The name tag finally got a crafting recipe in this update requiring a piece of paper and a nugget. That is extraordinarily cheap, especially considering how rare name tags were before this update. I mean, they weren't like a shiny Pokemon or something, but you needed to either find them in structures or get them from villager trading and fishing. Name tags used to be the final trade librarians unlocked, and they were pretty expensive, costing 20 emeralds each. With how cheap they are to craft now, that trade is a complete scam, so they replaced it with something else. We'll talk about that trade in a little bit, but so far, that tweak makes sense to go with the new crafting recipe. So why did they give the Wandering Trader a name tag trade? Yeah, this addition makes no sense to me. Now whenever a Wandering Trader spawns, it has a chance to trade a name tag for 1 emerald. Why would you literally ever do that with how cheap the crafting recipe is? Since this is a Wandering Trader too, there's no way to get this trade reliably even if you do want it. In my opinion, this trade is completely worthless, which is bad because the Wandering Trader has a very limited trade pool. Each one will only spawn with 9 completely random trades, so all this name tag trade does is make the actual useful trade slightly rarer since now it's one of the potential trade options. I mean, why would you ever want to do this trade over the sugarcane trade, which are both competing for the same slot? If you say it saves you from needing to get any ores for nuggets, good luck using this without an anvil. Even in game modes like Skyblock or Superflat, where resources are super limited, this trade is next to useless with the new recipe. So in my opinion, this is a negative addition that just makes the Wandering Trader less likely to be useful. Also, I didn't realize this before getting footage, but but the Wandering Trader can also now trade golden dandelions. And I only found that out because it took me forever to get the name tag trade.
Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it.
10. Adult Black Dot Horse texture change. In order to match with its baby variant, the adult Black Dot Horse type also got a new texture. I think it's way uglier than the original. The black dots are integrated far less smoothly and just feel like they were randomly thrown up on the horse's texture. I don't understand why they didn't just change the baby to match the original adult horse, because now both of them just look ugly. 9. Baby polar bears no longer attack foxes. Bet you guys are so happy you didn't skip to the baby ranking. I didn't know they did this in the first place, but I guess it's tragic that we can no longer watch baby fights. 8. New animal noises. Okay, we are finally starting to get into the additions that are more positive. Several mobs got new sound variants, those being the cat, pig, chicken, and cow. If you remember the wolf noises that got added a couple updates ago, this works in a very similar way. The classic sounds still exist, but each of these animals also have a chance to spawn with a different set of noises. These noises are also independent from their biome variant, so there are now multiple combinations of sounds and textures for each of these mobs. This is far less expansive compared to the wolves though, as each of these only get 1 or 2 new sets of sounds this update. Cats can have royal sounds, pigs can have mini or big sounds, chickens can have picky sounds, and cows can have moody sounds. Moody. Now the reason this is the lowest of the positive changes is because I just have such a hard time getting used to these. Texture changes I can handle, but for some reason I have a lot harder of a time accepting sound changes, like I'm still not very used to hearing the different wolf variants in the game. Call me nostalgia blind all you want, but I have a feeling that I'll just prefer the classic sounds for each of these animals. 7. New librarian trade. As I mentioned earlier, the librarian had to get a new master level trade to replace the previous name tag trade. Now, instead of getting a name tag, you'll unlock the groundbreaking trade of a red and yellow candle. Or as I like to call it, the ketchup and mustard trade. Okay, this is far from the most exciting trade, but I do see more value in it than the Wandering Trader name tag. It's kind of nice to have an easy way to get candles without bees, but it's weird that it's only for the red and yellow candles. Maybe you'll be able to get other colors from different biomes when they finally remember about the villager rebalance update. I doubt I'm going to use this trade much at all, but I do think it makes at least a little sense as a replacement trade. 6. Name tag crafting recipe. Sorry again for spoiling you all earlier, but yes, the name tag does have a crafting recipe now. It takes 1 piece of paper and a nugget of any kind, making it extremely cheap. Honestly though, I don't really know if I like this addition. Name tags acted as a good reward for exploring structures and getting lucky while fishing. They weren't too rare, but it made each structure they could be found in a bit more exciting to loot. If you did desperately need name tags, then you could always trade with the librarian to get as many as you need at the cost of a pretty good chunk of emeralds. I personally feel like that was pretty well balanced, especially since most players never really need that many name tags. Maybe if you're working on a project where you need to name a ton of mobs to keep them from despawning, but I feel like if you're doing something like that, you probably have the skill to just get a villager. I'm not gonna say this addition is necessarily bad, I mean it did crack the top half of the list, I just don't think it was needed and makes structures a little bit less exciting to explore. 5. New rabbit model. On top of getting new baby versions, the adult rabbits were also completely overhauled here. They are not beating the Reddit Chungus allegations. Personally, I never had an issue with the original rabbit model, but a lot of others seem to think it sucked, so I'm happy for them, I guess. For me, these feel maybe a little too fat, but whatever, I don't really care. It's nice that they have new animations too. I mean, look how cute this one is. 4. The new baby mobs. Alright, we have finally rejoined with all of the people that used the baby chapter earlier. Those dweebs don't even know about the polar bear change. But yes, this is where I'm going to be grouping all of the baby mob retextures together, but with so many babies, some are bound to be worse than others. So now it's finally time to rank every baby mob retexture from the worst to the best. I'm simply judging these based on how cute I think each of them are. Sorry if your favorite places low down on the list, you should just get better taste. We'll be running through these pretty quick because we have 71 babies to look at. There are technically more, but I decided to combine the horse, llama, and axolotl variants together since my thoughts are the same for each of them. But no more delaying, let's get into this list. 71 the zombie villager and 70 the villager. These two babies are absolutely horrendous in my opinion. It looks like all they did was just delete the 2 bottom rows of pixels from the baby's head and called it a day. The reason I'm putting the zombie villager in last is because it can visibly wear armor. To go with the baby mob changes, they also made new textures for baby armor, and I honestly don't like how they look at all. Some pieces are okay, but the boots in particular are really bad. What are the... What's even more embarrassing embarrassing is that they originally looked even worse. Luckily, the backlash was so great that they went back and fixed these a bit, but I still think I prefer the original look from before this drop. That's especially because baby armor does not display armor trims now, which was not the case in previous updates. That's just a straight downgrade, and I can't believe they didn't at least try to make some armor trim textures. But whatever, these two are easily my least favorite babies and are far worse than what we had originally. 69 the zombie, 68 the husk, and 67 the gurgle. I'm sorry, I hate how all of their faces look. They have a similar problem as the villagers where it just looks like they shaved pixels off of their head. I hate how the eyes and mouth touch the edges. The retexture just looks extremely sloppy. That's really bad here because I feel like the baby zombie is probably the most iconic baby in the game. You know, chicken jockey and all that. I really would have thought that they'd put more effort into at least making this guy look good, but no, it's definitely worse than the original now. Add on the worse armor as well, and it's clear that Mojang just didn't do a fantastic job on the humanoid babies. Of this group, I like the baby drown the best just because it got a unique name, being the gurgle. That is kind of funny. Ben gurgled. 66, the Strider. This thing is just absurdly ugly.
Look at the top of his head.
I just can't find anything to like about this model. It just looks gross. 65, the Sheep. It really feels like there was not much effort put into this design at all. Compared to the other main farm animals that have really cute baby redesigns, the Sheep is left with this weird ugly mess. He's got a horrible hairline and his entire design just feels too simplistic. It doesn't even feel like this baby design should grow up into what we have for the Sheep. Also, can we just talk about how the Mojang devs seem to hate the Sheep for some reason? It's one of the core 4 farm animals, but it's treated like absolute garbage in comparison. It got no biome variants, no new sound effects, and the worst looking baby by far. What could the Sheep have possibly done to deserve this treatment? Because sheep killed my grandma, okay? 64 zombified piglin and 63 piglin. These two are definitely a lot cuter than what we saw with the zombies, but there are still a few weird things about them. Of course, I already talked about how bad the armor is, but for the zombified piglin, I just don't like how his nose overlaps with his eye hole. That's not the case for the adult zombified piglins, so it kinda comes off as a mistake here. Items in these babies' hands also clip into their heads sometimes, which isn't the worst thing ever, but it does look a bit weird. 62 hoglin. His eyes are way too massive, and his head is a bit wide, but other than that, this is just okay. 61, Cold Cow. I'm putting this one much lower than the other cow variants because, correct me if I'm wrong, but the horns here are just not correct on this guy. The Cold Cow's horns normally point straight ahead, so it's weird that the baby model has them pointing upward. Maybe when this type of cow is a baby in real life, their horns are like this, but to me, it just seems odd. 60, the Killer Bunny. Look at the 5 head on this thing.
If you're wondering, I already know.
Since the Killer Bunny's eyes are horizontal instead of vertical like the other rabbits, his face does not fit on the baby model nearly as well. Maybe it's the point that he's supposed to be a little ugly, but this might be a bit too much. 59 the Mule, 58 the Skeleton Horse, 57 the Donkey, 56 the Horse, and 55 the Zombie Horse. I'm keeping all of these together for a couple reasons. Obviously, for starters, they're all some kind of horse-like mob. I'm not separating all of the different horse colors because there's like a million of them, and I feel the exact same for each one. The issue with this group of babies is that I feel like the head is just a bit too wide and blocky. Like there's some actual shape to an adult horse's head, but the babies just get a rectangle, which doesn't look very good. As for their order here, I like the mule and donkey the least because their eye just being a single black pixel doesn't look as good as the horse, which has white in his eyes. Also, as an additional note, you can't get the skeleton and zombie horses in survival, but they got a retexture here, so I feel like it made sense to include them. Hey, wait a minute, why'd Mojang do them and not the camel husk? Free him, he doesn't deserve this! 54, the llamas. Like the horse, I'm including all the colors together here along with the trader version. I've heard a lot of people say these guys look weird, and while I do agree, I also just kind of find them funny. The lack of eyebrows compared to the adult version make these guys have a pretty funny stare. 53 through 47, most of the cats. From this point on in the list, we've got the babies that I think are improvements over what we had before. It's a bit of a shame that about a third of the babies are downgrades in my eyes, but at least they got most of them correct. The kittens are all extremely cute. I think in a vacuum, their proportions are pretty perfect for making them look very cuddly. However, issues arise when you also look at the adult cats. Why do the babies have bigger heads than the adults? Like, do the adults just get stupider when they grow up or something? This isn't a huge deal, but it makes the kittens feel a lot bigger than they should be. Now, the reason I decided to split up some of the cats and not put them all under one number is because I do think certain cat breeds look a lot better with the baby model than others. others. The Persian cat is definitely my least favorite since it doesn't have a snout. It kinda just makes it look like it has a pancake face. The other breeds that I put down here, in order, are Siamese, White, Tuxedo, Black, Calico, and Tabby. All of these I don't love as much just because I think the 1 pixel eyes look a bit weird on them. Luckily, there are 4 more cat breeds that I like better that we'll be seeing in a bit, but these are all held back because of their haunting stares. 46, the Dolphin. The model looks pretty good, but this is another case of a baby mob having a 1 pixel eye that I don't really love. 45, the Armadillo, and 44, the Polar Bear. Honestly, if you told me these two were unchanged, I'd completely believe you. When you look at them side by side with their original versions, it does become obvious, but these are not mobs I interact with very much. 43, the Axolotls. I like that their heads are now noticeably bigger than their torso. It makes them look a lot cuter and more in line with other baby mobs. 42, the Squid, and 41, the Glow Squid. Honestly, I keep forgetting they even added the baby squids to Java Edition in the Bundles of Bravery drop. We still can't breed squids, which is unfortunate, but at least on the rare occasions we do see the babies in the wild, they are pretty cute. I like how stubby these two are compared to their adult versions. They definitely give off plushy vibes. I mean, that is kind of this whole update. I'm sure they're gonna sell a ton of baby merchandise in the future, but these two are especially plush feeling. 40 through 34, the Rabbits.
Check you!
Unlike the killer bunny we saw before, these rabbits have vertical eyes which match their heads much better. Honestly, I prefer the baby look a lot more to their adult versions. Their proportions look better to me than the gigantic rectangle bodies seen on the adult rabbits. Their order here is just based on which color I like best, so it goes black, toast, white, white splotched, gold, brown, and salt. 33, the Zoglin. Okay, I don't know exactly what it is, but the eyes on this guy just look so much better to me than they did with the regular Hoglin. Maybe it's because half of his face has been melted off, but whatever it is, I do like the Zoglin much more than the Hoglin. 32, the Goat. What's Mario doing on this list? This guy just looks really cute, not much else to say on that. 31, the Snifflet. This guy does come close to having a head that's a little bit too wide, but I think it works on the sniffer because his massive nose is the whole focus of the mob. 30, the Panda. Guys, I think the panda got possessed by Herobrine. Oh no, wait, we're good. The white eyes are maybe a little weird, but I honestly kind of like them too. It's also nice to get variants for all the different panda types. My favorite is probably the playful one, just for being full of joy and whimsy. 29, the Turtle. These are very cute. I love how much they're able to detail here with so little pixels. The only negative that I have is that they feel a bit too big. The original baby turtles were minuscule, and I think that was a big part of their charm. They are still pretty small now, but I think the mob would have been cuter if they shrunk it down just a little bit further. 28, the Bee. This is another case where I think I prefer the baby mob over the adult. The size just fits with being a bee a lot better. It's also very funny when a baby bee interacts with the flower because it gets absolutely covered in pollen. 27 through 25, the Pigs. We finally got our second member of the core 4 farm animals after seeing the sheep quite a while ago. Cold cows aren't real. They did a really good job chipifying this mob's design. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think the singular pixel eyes also work better on the pig compared to some of the other mobs we've already seen. As for their order, I just put them in based on which pig biome I like best, so it goes cold, warm, then classic. 24, the Camel. They took his hump! I'm assuming that's how camels are in real life, and I think that was a good change to make the baby stand out even more from the adults. But the question is, are baby camels better than adult camels in Camel Drop? No, they aren't. 23 through 20, all of the cows and mushrooms. Stop bringing up the cold cow, who even is that? Since these two mobs are just color swaps, I think it makes sense for them to be together. They did a great job shrinking down the cow, while also making it beefier than something like the baby pig. Their models are all the same, so their order is based on which color I like best, which goes brown mushroom, warm cow, classic cow, and the red mushroom. 19 through 16, the rest of the cats. We still have 4 more cats to talk about that we didn't mention earlier. That's because this set doesn't have such creepy eyes, so I find them to be significantly cuter. First is the Jelly Cat, which I think is helped by the gray pixels next to its eyes. They aren't part of the eyes, but it sort of looks that way and helps make this baby look a lot cuter to me. Next is the Red Cat, and it looks like there are absolutely zero thoughts going on in its head. And then my two favorite cats are the Ragdoll and the British Shorthair because they have dark blue and black eyes respectively, which looks so much more natural than the colored eyes of the other baby cats. These seem like the least likely to stare into my soul, so I like them more than the rest. 15, the Ocelot. The mob itself may be useless, but it's got a pretty cute baby. As far as I can tell, it uses the same model as the rest of the kittens, but what makes me like it the most are once again its eyes. The darker pixels at the top help make the eyes look a lot less empty, and in my opinion, makes the ocelot the cutest cat-like mob. 14 the fox, and 13 the snowy fox. These two just look so incredibly cuddly. Their proportions are absolutely perfect, and I would love to have one as a pet. To be totally honest, these babies kind of ruin my perception of the normal fox. The adult's eyes look so weird and honestly kind of creepy being at the edge of their head like that. I think foxes benefited a ton from this update. 12 through 4, all of the wolf variants. Dogs are my favorite animal, so of course I was going to absolutely love the puppies. All along, I was the heckin' doggo redditor. This update is my fault. In all seriousness, these pups looked so much better than the original wolf babies. I think these might be the mobs that benefited the most from the 1 pixel eyes that most of the babies seem to receive. That's not to mention how much better their proportions are here too. Just scrolling down the wiki page made me really sad that I can't pet any of these guys. They're all super adorable. As for their order, I put them in based on which biome variant I like best. So going from worst to best, we have spotted, stripped, snowy, black, chestnut, rusty, ashen, woods, and classic. Out of all the babies in this video, this is probably the set I'm most excited to see. But I couldn't quite give them the #1 spot because we also have to look at the 3 chickens. Mojang has plastered these chicks all over the marketing for this update, and it's clear to see why. They're by far the most changed from their original design, now taking on the form of tiny cubes instead of just being smaller chickens. That makes them both look so much funnier and also more accurate as well. So I think the chickens 100% deserve the top spots. Cold is my least favorite just because I kinda like how the warm chicken looks like it's been cooked a little. Of course the classic chicken has to be the best due to going as far as to change its color scheme to yellow when in chick form. So for having the biggest and best model change, the classic chick takes the crown as the best baby mob in Minecraft. But anyways, that's not it for the video, don't click off! Remember, we still have 3 more features to rank that I feel belong above the babies. So to get back into the normal list here, we have 3, the golden dandelion. If you look at the wiki page, this is the one lone addition that is said to be added for this drop. I find that very funny. These can be obtained by surrounding a dandelion with 8 gold nuggets and a crafting table. On top of just being a flower you can place down to flex your wealth of a single gold ingot, this does have a use relating to the baby mobs. You can feed a golden dandelion to almost any baby and it'll keep them as a baby forever. That was a very important addition, because if they didn't add this, it would make remodeling all of the babies even more useless since they would only exist like that for 20 minutes each. If you do end up changing your mind and want your animal to be old again, then you can always give them another golden dandelion to undo the effect. While I am very happy this is here to make the update feel a bit more justified, I really don't see myself using this much at all. I might keep a couple puppies, but besides that, I'm not touching this feature much. I'll probably use it mostly as a decoration tool, but even then, not very often. I also just have to say that the golden dandelion's implementation feels like a huge missed opportunity. First off, of all the flowers to make gold, they really chose the one that was already yellow. A gold poppy or cornflower or something would have been a far cooler decoration block. Secondly, the way you get the golden dandelion just feels very lame. Seeing as this is a flower, I think this could have been the perfect chance to finally give the sniffer a better use. Everyone complains about how pointless the sniffer feels because all it does is give the player 2 extremely niche flowers. If the golden dandelion or something like it was added to the pool though, it would give players a legitimate reason to look for a sniffer. It wouldn't be the most helpful use, like I said, I doubt I'm going to use this very much, but it would be significantly better than what the mob has now. Alternatively, maybe they could have finally added the Moo Bloom this update and have it give the player the golden dandelion somehow. We know Mojang is willing to change a mob boat loser's use based on the copper golem. Seeing as so many people want the Moo Bloom in the game, I think this would have been perfect. As it is now, the golden dandelion just has a simple crafting recipe using 2 fairly common materials, so it doesn't really open up for much unique gameplay. Overall, this is still a good addition, but I just wish they went about it in a different way. 2 stonecutter changes. In every other drop, this would be near the bottom of the ranking, but I think this is the first real feature here that I'm gonna get a ton of use out of. If you're an avid user of a Silk Touch pickaxe, you likely know the annoyance of accidentally collecting a ton of deep slate when you really need cobbled deep slate. Previously, only cobbled deep slate could be used to craft any of the deep slate block variants, whereas the normal deep slop was literally useless. So if you had a large collection of it, you'd have to remine them with a normal pickaxe just to get the cobbled version. Luckily, Mojang finally realized how annoying that is, and now lets you use the Stonecutter to turn normal Deep Slate directly into any of the Deep Slate variants. This is such a good quality of life improvement and even extends outside of Deep Slate. Stone blocks can now also be turned into any cobblestone block in the Stonecutter. Overall, I'm very happy with this change that will make Deep Slate mining a lot less annoying. But with how absolutely phenomenal this update has been, what could possibly take the #1 spot?
That actually is pretty funny.
I can't think of a more fitting winner for this drop than a fart sound effect. Note blocks were given brand new trumpet sounds when placed on top of copper blocks. Having a new instrument is always going to be insanely useful for note block music makers, but these go even further than normal. There are actually 4 different types of trumpet sounds, one for each level of oxidation. This was a really cool idea, and as I already pointed out, the oxidized one is basically a fart sound effect. Now, unfortunately, I'm not very good at making music, but I am good at being evil and nefarious. I know that I'm going to be using this fart sound effect so much. You can now basically make a whoopee cushion and put it in your friends' bases. Pranked. You could tie this to any redstone input or even just a skulk sensor to make it harder to track. There are so many ways you can use this sound effect, and I'm very much looking forward to pranking my friends with it. Wait, I don't have those. So out of all the features in this update, I think this is the one that'll bring me the most joy to use. It may seem stupid, but I think the best feature in this incredibly lackluster drop is without a doubt the fart note block. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you love the new baby chainmail leggings and hate me for saying the baby armor sucks? Let me know in the comments. Sorry if I was off hating for a lot of this video, but luckily I think the next drop is already looking a lot better than this one. We're getting our first full blocks in over a year, so that's pretty exciting. But I've got to get back to doing my homework, so before I go, I've got to thank my members being Dick Fama, Wyatt Derpy, Mario Master 101, Drop D Mike 75, Virtual Tomato, Extreme 5026, Maidesio2, Adept Tuna, Daniel Castillo 1262, Aaron 0729, Anton 3669, Smuggy, Guy 112, Danny Gaming Central, Young Smoky VP7, Zach Pro, Flame 765, Peanut Brown of Gallery, Gorposaurus, BFDI Macaron, Stephen Hafner, Bell Slimes, Night Vision 101, PDX, Wilbur, Jenny, Mogo Mogo Boat, Stuffy Ant, Rich 229, Jehojin, Leonard Von Hevering, Magnus and Larslot, Trifector, Tibby, Hippopotamus, Levi Strux, Nuclear, Cassie Channel, Blast Tiger, Yanni the Duck, Trader Mo, Mevins 2001, Display Changer, B Major 2003, Sir Musty, Belandor, Cinder CC, Jade Avery, Thicky Reiki, Ingenio TM, CW McCain, Tesseract, JubeTube, Jameson Pageson, Z Frost Keep, and Christian Flattery Sequel Edition. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.